Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and more Birthright here as we're working our way through the first of the Voss realms here, or first section of the Voss realms rather. Today we're taking a look at Rovninodensk. It's neutral, available for players. Now, civil wars and battles for succession decimate the provinces once or twice every generation. Nona Voss currently have the upper hand, though their rule is far from stable. Again, that's one of the things of the Voss culture here, is that sort of fight between the traditional Voss, barbaric, very just brutal, and the newer ideas emerging of, well, maybe just a little bit of civilization, and not just killing everyone will actually lead to maybe a better life. So you have that as opposed to just also the typical existential crisis of dealing with the other humanoids and other evils that are around here. Now, province-wise, there are many here, as we can see, although the whole realm is virtually unsettled, right? A lot of zero, or a couple zeros, several ones, and twos, and then a single four, right, which is our highlight there as far as just most civilized province, and densely populated. Law is kind of scattered about here, as we can see. It's certainly spotty, and there's even a province that's in contesting status here, as far as not being ruled by necessarily our main leader. So we'll get into that. Temples, different things going on there as well. Guild activity, we can see there's also multiple players there, and then on the sources, largely controlled by one power, although there is another there in the bottom with Zias. So let's get in and figure out what this mess looks like, because again, this is definitely a tough realm to try and take on, although it certainly makes for fun adventuring. The current ruler, a former boyar named Andrei Chernensky, level 12 fighter, so definitely up there, and has a pretty solid bloodline of 22 there. Wrested control of the realm from the former Torva Voss leadership in the realm's most recent civil war, then appointed himself Zarevo of the land. Torva factions led by Danica Vorak, a level 6 fighter and a minor bloodline, the daughter of the realm's former regent, have fled Rovnograd for the relative safety of the northern provinces. So you have that internal conflict brewing, not brewing, but also that just is seemingly perennial, but again, brewing up again here in the sense of, well, this guy just took over by ousting the former family, and so there is already sort of the daughter of that to sort of continue. This is like this blood feud, this generational feud between the different factions, but also these two different types of Voss culturally focused groups here. The temple situation, the primary church operating in Rovninodensk is the Temple of Might. Its former leaders backed the Torva Voss heavily in the last war for succession and burnt temples and shrines to Krisha and Belanik litter the countryside. The new regent of the temple, Leonid Voskin, a level 7 priest of Belanik, has taken a more bipartisan approach, though he must support the Torva Voss. A small temple to Lirovka has arisen in Nona lands, headed by the young Mitras Piotvich, Piovich, a level 5 priest, a little bit better bloodline there of Varin at 24, but it faces an uphill struggle against traditional Voss tendencies. So far, Andrei has not endorsed any temple as the official church of Rovninodensk. So not only do you have the cultural conflict, the political conflict, but also here again tempered also by yet another sort of religious conflict as well. Guild action. 2 of the 3 guild masters, so we already got 3 going on, right? Of Rovninodensk owe their positions to the current Zarevo, the leader of the Markovlin Sarovok, a tiny guild specializing in the breeding of Varsks. Sergei Utkra, level 4 fighter, level 7 thief, pretty beefy there, although just very minuscule bloodline, was once the Zarevo's chief lieutenant. A bandit guild run by Danica Vorak operates only in the north, where it robs the peasantry to support the Torva regent. So we have all that different stuff going on there, and I'm sure we'll get a little bit more explanation as well. Sources. The main reason that the Nona bid for the throne succeeded lies in the hands of a slight sickly Voss wizard named Petra Morinoi, although sickly wizard, but still level 10, which is very powerful in this setting, and a pretty solid bloodline. Said to be a follower of Lirovka and an ally to the new temple, she built up her power secretly, then threw her support behind Andre when it mattered. Now she watches the eastern borders of the realm, hoping neither the Raven nor the Manticore will attempt to test the new regent. So again, you have all this stuff, all this conflict brewing internally. You still have the different Anshe that surround the realms to consider, as well, as if that wasn't enough pressure. And then the provinces, the Zarevo rules the capital province of Zias, plus the provinces of Tobol, Rovninodensk, Almiesk, and Chelyatev. The Torva leader, Danica, rules Jamhu and Pervezniki. The remaining provinces are uncontrolled, right? So basically, the zeros that are out there, the four of those rather, just don't have any law whatsoever because they're virtually unsettled. So resources here are a little bit split, of course, between the different rulers. So you have, as far as regency goes, 20 and 5 for the Zarevo and 6 and 14 for Danica, respectively. Treasury, interestingly, the Zarevo has not much to work with, only 9 gold bars there. So you're going to be, if you're taking the role of the Zarevo, you've got your work cut out for you. That's not a lot to work with between RP and Treasury, whereas Danica, even though only just running the 2 provinces, is sitting on 22, which is quite a bit, all things considered, for Voss realms. Now, the army is also a little split up here. They paid a terrible price for the realm's current watchful peace. The Zarevo controls the following. He's got 2 units of infantry and 2 of Rovarsky, which are Varsk riders, and then a unit of archers. So a good little mix between infantry, cavalry, and shooty units. And then Danica has a slightly smaller force and of lower quality. So 3 units of irregulars, although they can double up as low-grade archers. They have a little bit of shooting available. And then 2 units of scouts, not great in fighting, but they can still shoot. So really her entire force has the ability to shoot, which could come in handy in an actual battle map engagement. So we have that. So then we're going to pause for a second, guys, and we'll get into the next section where we talk about the regents and other important NPCs before we eventually get into the geography and all the other goodies going on for the realm. Alrighty, guys, as we move on, so let's take a look at the regent and the NPCs. So, once one of many boyars favored by the old Torva hierarchy, Andrei Chernetsky still bears many of the ritual scars and tattoos given to only the most powerful Voss warriors, but no doubt exists in anyone's mind that this Sarajevo favors the ways of the Nona Voss. Again, that's that more modern, progressive type of Voss in that cultural split that they have. He fought his way toward power and influence under the former Sarajevo's rulership and turned against his lord only when the man tried to have Andrei assassinated, which could be some interesting adventure material in and of itself as far as any campaign goes, and maybe there are still some of the former Sarajevo's men and forces that might still have these attempts on his life periodically. So we can have those types of activities going on as well. So, after many months of civil war, he personally slew the former Sarajevo and assumed the Yannick throne. So that could be something where, again, like maybe as part of like random events in the realm, maybe there's still former soldiers loyal to the previous Sarajevo that are trying to cause disruptions, and maybe there could be the occasional foiled assassination attempt that would then lead into some adventures to track down just who is trying to disrupt the current rule. A large man in his mid-30s, Andrei wears his steel black hair long and braided in the traditional Voss fashion. His deep blue tattoos stand out against his somewhat grayish skin, making his grim countenance all the more frightening. Seldom laughing or even smiling, he epitomizes the grim ideal of a Voss warrior. Still, grim doesn't mean bad or cruel. In his case, in the months since his overthrow, and this is again relatively recent, right, of the Torva regime, he has killed only those who have made themselves his enemies, right? Lieutenants, there's Sergei Uktra, The Varsk breeder stood by Andrei's side during his fierce battle with the old Sarajevo. Sergei himself slew the Temple of Might's former regent when the priest called upon Belenik to curse Andrei's sword arm. Sergei then served as the new Sarajevo's lieutenant until they put the realm in order. Now Andrei's rewarded him with the vassalage and regency of his own. Sergei hopes Andrei will consider his son, Stefan, as a possible candidate for the vacant lieutenancy, but the Sarajevo has made no sign. So, could be something where there's maybe a little bit of a discord brewing there, but that'd just be one to find the right way to make that happen. Although younger son, so starting out, and it has a, probably the lowest bloodline we've ever seen at a 3. So, but could be interesting to incorporate that. Alrighty, then, other important NPCs. So, 2 of the most important people in the realm are the Papanovich brothers, Mikhail and Nikolai. So, we got a fighter and a thief there, also minuscule bloodlines. Born of different mothers, Nikolai's was a captured Brecht slave, a woman whose appearance and character he greatly favors. They grew up in the old Sarajevo's court, hating him for executing their father over some trifling indiscretion. They learned something of diplomacy and dissembling there and survived by becoming traitors for the throne. They traveled as far west as Gravesmühl and as far south as Kozlovny and learned much from their experiences. When Andrei battled the old Sarajevo, the brothers backed Andrei secretly at first and then openly. Some say the brothers arranged to sneak Andrei inside the Yannick Tower so he could confront the old Sarajevo while the armies battled outside. So, as a reward, Andrei allowed the 2 to establish guild holdings in Rovninodensk. Now, as regents of the Vychega Vychotka, or Lake Ladon traders, we'll go with that, a little easier to pronounce, trade guild, they've begun to turn Rovninodensk into one of Osgard's few economic powers. They pay Andrei several gold bars per season, depending on their profits, to keep him from looking at their financial dealings too closely. Some say they run trade routes into Kalathor, Kozlovny, Brechtur, and beyond. Both are Nana supporters, but may have their own ideas for the evolution of the Voss. So that is something at least that can help shore up the sort of rather smaller treasury that the Sarajevo currently has. Whether the mysterious Petra Morinoi has any ties to the old court of Rovnograd, none can say. It's now known that she aided Andrei in his rise to power, proving the war chief may have been plotting to an overthrow long before the old Sarajevo tried to have him removed because of his rising power and popularity. Petra certainly provided key support for the outnumbered Nonavas and turned what could have been a minor revolt into a successful rebellion. Some say she's got her own reasons for backing Andrei. This rumor, combined with the superstitious prejudice most Voss feel towards spellcasters, has caused much fearful speculation. Petra seems to have a grudge against Danica Vorak. The feeling is certainly mutual, but the wizard pays more attention to the wild eastern provinces of the realm than Danica's hiding place in the north. Again, fertile ground there for some adventure and digging into why there is that grudge between the 2. Danica Vorak grew up strong and proud amid the splendor of Rovnograd. At the age of 10, 2 of her father's household slaves abducted her and fled the city, hoping to use her as a hostage on their trip back to their home country. Little Danica, however, wriggled free of her bonds during the night, slew both slaves, and found her way home alone. When she presented her father with the ears of her victims, he realized she deserved more than to grow up and be married off to another Voss chieftain. So, pretty crazy stuff there. Trained as a warrior and a leader, Danica remained loyal to the Yannick throne, and even when she reached her prime, made no move to overthrow her father. Now living on the run from the new Sarajevo's troops, she may regret that decision. Living in the wild has only honed her resolve to occupy the Yannick throne, and if she must take it over the dead bodies of Andrei Cherninsky and Petra Molinoi, so be it. Danica fuels the superstitious fear that most of Rovninodensk peasants harbor toward the wizard Petra Molinoi. The 2 women have developed a hatred for each other that borders on obsession. So, and again, that can lead to some deadly consequences, certainly. So that is something that, again, can take different forms in a campaign, and just how closely that ongoing conflict should interfere with sort of like the main adventure arc. That certainly can cause sort of like a repeated problem or repeated source of conflicts that can kind of gradually escalate as a campaign goes one way or the other, or just lead to some derailment of sort of the typical or the current plans that the PCs and the party might have. And if you're running the realm, certainly like an ongoing source of strife and conflict there that in some way has to be dealt with. So great little source there. Again, there's so many wonderful conflicts, political, cultural, etc., that we have going on in these Voss realms, aside from the normal that we might typically see in We're in Realms, that really just adds to just something different than yet another, sort of standard template realm that we would have available to us. So again, just always something new in these Voss realms. So a little bit of description of the terrain here, and again, here we get a nice map of the territory as well. So the flat, open provinces in the center of Rovninodensk have no protection from the cold north winds that whip down from the peaks of the Drachenauer and the Orlenskaya mountains. The fields of winter wheat that grow here get trampled under warrior feet as often as they feed the population, and only the fortitude of the realm's people allows them to overcome famine. Still, Rovninodensk has been called one of the most pleasant, civilized realms in Vosgard, which is saying something. And yeah, as it says, which should tell even the most casual observer something about the area. So, that being said, civilized and well developed here would still likely be essentially undeveloped in frontier and sort of maybe wild, lawless in pretty much the other cultures that we've covered. Now, the capital itself, built to commemorate the Battle of Lake Ladan, the capital city of Rovnograd. Obviously, they're borrowing on some, of the historical Russian events and things like that, has been burned and pillaged many times, but never by an outside conqueror. Only civil wars and battles for succession caused the city to be razed, and then even the most bloodthirsty conquerors leave certain parts of the city alone. The gleaming minarets of the Yenik and the Aktyubin towers have stood tall and straight for centuries, though the buildings around them have been destroyed and rebuilt many times. And then other sites. In olden days, the mountains of Loden and Tobol brought vast amounts of coal, iron, and copper to the forges of Rovnograd. Those reserves have long since been mined out, but it is well known that the tunnels have become a haven for runaway slaves and strange monsters. Again, easy and fertile adventure material there. The mountains in Ufvesk, Ortgau, and Glazny have never been thoroughly prospected, again, leading to maybe a sort of a new mining boom, and may hold untold treasures and unimaginable dangers for the bold miner. So again, that could be something where the party is commissioned to maybe start that initial prospecting and see if there's anything of worth there, and would it be fruitful for the realm to engage in that. So, and that can of course lead into all kinds of wonderful adventures and perils for the party. So easy stuff there. But there could also be, a task as far as going to investigate the existing mines and areas if there's rumors of monsters and other bad stuff happening that is maybe then spilling out into nearby towns and villages. Now, the allies, the Papanovich brothers, have tried to establish good relations with the Voss Kanasi realm of Kozlovnie, but travel between the two realms has never been easy. Cal Calathor seems willing to leave Rovninodensk in peace for the time being, but it charges heavy tariffs for passage through its land. Rovninodensk has the same problems with Gravesmühl, another trading partner to the west. Passage through the Mistmoor and Reslev has never been easy, and few dare the trip on a regular basis. And again, we've covered Gravesmühl when we covered the Brecht. So we have that. Now, enemies, there's always plenty. While Velinoye can't really be called an enemy, it certainly isn't a friend. On many occasions, Andrei Cherninsky and his agents, usually the brothers, the Papanovich brothers, have tried to establish a link to the sea through Velinoye, only to be double-crossed. The raiders of Velinoye seem to be engaged in a game of how far can we push with Andrei, and they may soon learn the limits of that. So yeah, mess around and find out. But then we have Anshe as always to deal with, and again, we're so far away from Annawir and even the Brecht territories, dealing with the Gorgon and other more common Anshe. So here we get some of these awesome other Anshe that we'll cover in a whole separate series of videos. But there's so many new big bad guys out there. So we have the Raven and the Manticore are not friendly, certainly really to anyone. Neither has engaged in open warfare against the Voss realm, but the Zaraevo feels it's only a matter of time before one or the other, or both, feel the need to expand their borders. So, yeah, so as if, there's not enough internal problems in these Voss realms, again, that you always have this ever-looming threat of not just one big bad guy like the Gorgon, there's so many other up-and-coming Anshe, and really some powerful ones that in some cases might rival the Gorgon in one way, shape, or another, and certainly maybe given enough time, if they were to greatly expand, you could even do so. Finally, then, I love again that they sort of do this player secrets thing, since at this point they weren't going to be developing any more of those supplements for that, so they kind of incorporate that into the passages here, which is a nice thing that they could have done with some of the other realms as well. But player secrets, so the following should be made available only to characters who adventure within or rule this realm. So, famous for his Varsk husbandry, Rovninodensk Markovlan Sarovac can add a +5 bonus to any attempts to establish a trade route with another Voss realm, as long as Varsks are part of the deal. For every season the trade route is in effect, the other realm may muster 1 unit of Varsk cavalry, so that's something interesting there. And could work for some, as far as forming alliances, too. Rumors, so always the fertile adventuring ground here. So, some say the savage elves of Tuar Anwen secretly support the Torva Voss of Rovninodensk in the hopes of keeping the largest nearby human realm weak and divided. If so, they may have offered Danica Vorak shelter along the eastern banks of the Anwalach, and may even provide elf archers for her use in time of need, which is saying something, given typically that the elves really want no part in human affairs and really are just more often than not outright hostile to humans. So that would be something incredible if it could be proven, certainly, and again would make for an interesting part of an adventure, and certainly seeing then what the Zaraevo would want to do. But also, if you were running the realm, that would really pose an interesting dilemma on how you want to treat that. Certainly you still have that rival to your throne, but at the same time, that, as if there weren't enough problems with the Anshe and everything else, getting into conflict with the elves would be yet another major headache. Also, why did Petra Mornoy support Andrei on his rise to the throne? She revealed her existence not only to the other regions of Rovninodensk, but to the power-hungry Raven as well. Does the Wizard of Rovninodensk have some secret agenda she desperately needs the region to support? How will the warriors Zaraevo react when the wizard calls for repayment of his debt? These questions haunt the people of Rovninodensk. So again, that could be something where there's always rumors, hints of things. Just certainly people should constantly have this fear and worry. And again, those rumors can then twist and turn into various shapes and forms, and should be sort of an ever-present question mark that hangs over the legitimacy of the current rule of the Zaraevo. So definitely something to be incorporated if you're running the realm, but also just adventuring around the townsfolk. There should always be these superstitions and rumors that haunt that particular person, and the current state of affairs as well of the realm. Moving on, most people believe that the Temple of Might secretly supports Danica Vorak in her quest to regain her father's throne. If so, they may have a few units of troops, probably some irregulars, maybe even mercenaries, hidden in the provinces where the temple still has influence. These units could swing the balance in any battle between Danica and the Zaraevo. As we've seen, their armies are not quite equally matched, but certainly a couple extra units here and there would do so. And Danica's forces at least have essentially all have missile capability, which really could certainly swing a battle. And then finally, I like that they did this too. So they sort of, for the region only, they never did develop like a DM's secrets to some of the NPC realms. So this is always nice too. The NPC ruler of Quimbane has sent a secret message to the region of Rovninodensk. The region of that elven realm offers 10 gold bars and a magical item determined by the DM from his private hoard to the regent of Rovninodensk if the Zaraevo will conquer and hold the 2 northeastern provinces of Kal Kalathor. those bordering Lake Ladin and the Raven's domain. The regent of Quimbain declares his intention to invade Cal Calathor at the same time, in hope of lessening the Goblin realm's power within the region. And again, we go back to our entry in that realm and some of the rumors there. So there seems to be this sort of rumor that was planted both ways, where the Elven realm has gotten word that the ruler of Rovninodensk might want to do that, but then at the same time you're getting this like actual invitation, but it could be from a third party that's just wanting to cause conflict and maybe take advantage of that. Maybe it's a trap, so that'd be something to then somehow get verifying the truth of this message. Is there a messenger attached with this, or just did this message show up? Maybe sending some sort of delegation or trying to get contact with the Elven Realm to verify that. So that'd be a fun adventure in and of itself. Could be cool if true to form this alliance and take out a certainly an annoying enemy with the goblins, but again, dealing with anything bordering the major Anshe here, especially like the Raven, it could be a push too far. It could be a trap by said Anshe or others, other parties. So could be a interesting start of something if maybe again this is legitimate, but it then leads into a broader conflict, drawing the Raven's ire. Or it is indeed a trap and maybe it's playing one realm against the other. Maybe it looks like, maybe the elves do invade, but then you think it's a trap and don't show up, then that leaves them weakened and maybe embittered towards you and vice versa. So many cool ways that could play out into a larger conflict, certainly. So that is a big look at Rovninodensk, guys. I know these are getting long here, but all these Voss realm descriptions are double the length of the typical ones we've seen so far. So a lot to take in, but so much fun and fertile ground, and something just so different from the other areas that you could play an adventure in and run campaigns in Birthright. So hope you enjoyed, guys. Hit us up in the comments, like and subscribe. If you want to see videos like this and other things early too, check out our Patreon. Any support for the channel certainly helps and is appreciated. Thanks so much for watching.